Hello, and welcome back to Fallen London. Where we left off, we had pursued the tattooed courier's contact all the way here to Miss Plenty's carnival, which turned out to be that she was simply reporting to the fortune teller the information she was getting from the surface, rather than the foreign spying the constables feared it was. So we also explored most of the circus, but we had a little bit left to do, and from there we're going to move on to Spite today. But first, let's see what opportunities we are presented with. That one is related to another story we haven't gotten to yet, so I will put that one down for now. The law's long arm. Are those constables following you? Were you careless? Has someone's nerve broken? Best deal with it. This card shows up when we have the Suspicion Menace, and it's just filled with several ways to reduce it, the most easily obtainable one of which is this one, Official Incompetence. A constable is frantically chasing a spiraling mass of papers down the street, snatching any that come within range. Passers-by hand them to him or surreptitiously grab them and tuck them away. One trips him up just as a document lands at your feet. A pleasing piece of luck. Interestingly, it's a list with your name at the bottom. You say nothing as the constable charges, wailing past. Excellent. Trouble at home. Ah, this guy again. This time, let's try going for the law of the mob. Who exactly is the scoundrel here? Your neighbors come together to listen to your fiery words. Their opinion of the scoundrel is, if anything, lower than yours. You see him in the street and the mob gives chase. The scoundrel is too fast for the lumbering creature that is your mob, and he escapes somewhere near Childcake Street. The mob returns to his house and ransacks the place. You call for calm when they start to speak of burning, and distract them by sharing out the villain's possessions. Excellent. This card allows us to give resources to other players, or name your pet. It's kind of silly. I don't feel like naming him right now. If anyone has any suggestions for what to name our Blemmigan tourist, let me know in case it pops up. Let's see. This one again, we'll take that. A day at the races. Shroom hopping races are a popular event at Bugsby's Marshes. The Hopping Post. If you aren't lucky enough to attend an event in person, you can settle down with London's finest racing periodical. Or, a disgraceful spectacle! Shroom hopping indeed! That reminds you, you'd been meaning to write to the papers a stern letter about the disgraceful spectacle of shroom hopping and the low behavior it encourages. That doesn't sound too much like us, although it appears to be a way to gain favor with the church. Let's go ahead and read the news. A second-hand pleasure. It's not like being there, but it's an entertaining read. Winners, losers, betrayals, wolf attacks, race-fixing scandals, and a wonderfully libelous gossip column compiled by Tawdry. The correspondents of the Post have a lyrical enthusiasm that makes the knife and candle results look almost dry by comparison. You can learn a great deal by reading war stories. So we don't get much out of it other than skills. Ace of Hungers. You can't sleep for hunger. Your belly growls. You toss and turn. What is wrong here? Let's go for, roast chestnuts. That should do it. There's a seller of roast chestnuts around the corner. At least he says they're chestnuts. They do taste a little fungal. The other option, of course, is rare meat. No, raw meat. To the butcher's shop, knock 3 times. This dreadful hunger must be satisfied. That one scares me a little. Let's go for this one. You pay the man and wolf down the chestnuts. That settled your stomach for the moment. But something still isn't right here. Alright. Debate with a philosopher. We've seen this one before. This time let's go for the other option. Climb up and start expounding. You lack a pole, but a hansom stuck in traffic nearby will do just as well. They will hear you. A fine performance. Your words capture the crowd's attention, and even the driver whose hansom you are using as the stage is forced to conclude that you make some good points. A few of the loftier philosophers fling handy items at you, but that is to be expected. At the end of your exposition, you pass your hat around. What's in the bundle? Something to burn? Dry, crackling paper, oilcloth cover. We've seen this one before, yes. Prescribed material. Come along now, website. You can do this. I hope you can do this. Let's try that again. There we go. Well, okay, yep, this one is... We still don't have the stuff for it. Gosh, I'm sorry about this. I'm not sure what's going on with their website or if it's our internet. There is some thundering going on out there, so we may be actually having trouble. If it continues, I might wrap this one up early. The Devil's Parrot. That devil was eccentric in many ways, and when she was recalled to hell, she left her pet parrot behind. That bird must know things. Secret things. Let's switch to our watchful gear. Our options are Chastity want a cracker? The bird was present for many secret meetings. Surely careful observation and the application of Mr. Murgatroyd's fungal crackers will yield some infernal tidbits. Or we can take a bold approach. Perhaps the bird's memory can be jogged if you show it one of the alphabets of hell. Surely the creature will recognize it. Let's go for the safe option first. Ah! Buried alive in spite! Ka! The bird is wary, and has been somewhat neglected. Gaining its trust is hardly difficult, but your patience is sorely tried as you attempt to make sense of the endless stream of juicy but infuriatingly vague snippets that emerge from its beak. Your diligence pays off, however, and you manage to put together something of real substance. It all clicks into place, and your blood chills as you realize the importance of your find. So it leaves it vague what we actually discover there, but we've gained an appalling secret, which is much higher up in the information chain compared to cryptic clues and whispered hints. Are you quite sure you want to know this? And we also gained some nightmares. Surface ties, the stalker. A rival from your life on the surface has sought you out in the neath. Just who is the monarch of the shadows? Yeah, they came all this way to play, we'll play. Show your rival who is the master of the shadows. None shall stand in your way, especially if they know your murkier secrets. The other option is, that's not who you are anymore. Leave the shadows to your rival. You have moved on in life. You have better things to do in the dim, moonish light of the Neath. Nah, let's take him down. You were ever the more cunning. Whether it be stealth, poisoning, theft, or ambush, you proved to be the superior stalker of the shadows. Your rival flees back to the surface before matters become more serious. You will hear nothing more from that quarter. Excellent. Nice chunk of shadowy increase. Okay, now that we've done that, let's, wanted to see maybe a couple of the other fortune-telling options. We had our tea leaves read last time. Let's have our palm read. You hold out your hand. Madame Shoshana grasps it firmly. Her hand is encrusted with gold rings, and her nails are long, pointy, and green. Probably just lacquer. A long and healthy lifeline. Madame Shoshana traces it with a heavily ringed finger. I see only a few death breaks, here, here, and here, for example, but you shall come back each time and be almost as good as new. Oh, good to know. Let's try the tarot cards. Madame Shoshana's tarot deck is somewhat unusual, but you have heard that it gives uncannily accurate readings. The gibbet. That is not so promising. The first card Madame Shoshana turns over is the gibbet. This does not signify an execution, of course, but it does indicate a source of extreme vexation, such as an itch you cannot quite reach. It is joined by the garden, which looks pretty, but foretells a loss at chess to an inferior opponent, and the lyre, which according to Madame Shoshana simply indicates water. Water. Huh. How is that supposed to help you? And let's see what the crystal ball can foretell. It sparkles beautifully in the soft candlelight. Starry shadows shift and merge in its infinite depths. A wide red smile. The crystal glows warmly as Madame Shoshana stares into its glittering heart. I see a smile from ear to ear, says Madame Shoshana. Do not worry. It may mean happiness, occasionally. It is not absolutely guaranteed that you will meet Jack of Smiles tonight. Oh, well, that's unsettling. Maybe enough of peering into the future. Let's see what's in the House of Mirrors. I'm sure that that is much less unsettling. Oh. The House of Mirrors squats like an ape in a quiet corner of the carnival. Strange mirrors are labeled in a neat, scholarly hand. It is not a popular attraction. Warning. Bad things happen here. Looking into the mirrors is the prerogative of the foolish. Well, now I gotta know. Let's gaze into Dream's mirror. Don't do that. That would be unhinged. The mirror's frame is decorated with bronze cats and silver lizards. Take a good look. No reflection. You look closer. Closer still. You stumble and pitch face first into the mirror. There is a sort of flickering behind your eyes, and everything seems different. Oh. We have moved to a new area, a state of some confusion, and that rocketed our nightmares up to 8. We are, at this point, quite mad. Let's see what options we have going on here. We can drink from the fountain in the lobby. You've seen other guests do this, and some of them speak in tongues, but some of them speak in their own voices afterwards. That would be nice, you think wistfully. Take a deep gulp. Your persuasive may suffer if this goes wrong. Hint, you don't want to succeed in this Nightmares challenge. Okay, well, we've got only a 10% chance of succeeding in this challenge we don't want to succeed at, so we'll probably be okay, right? Ah, refreshing. You don't speak in your own voice after drinking, but your voice is pleasant and silvery. You can feel droplets rolling off your tongue like mercury. If mercury wasn't poisonous and tasted very slightly like moonlight. Ah, moonlight, like fallen London doesn't have. That caused our nightmares to reduce. Excellent. Let's try chatting to the guests. We recommend the ones whose heads are still attached to their bodies. Especially where the head is attached to something other than the neck. Oh. Oh, sorry, I misread that, I think. We recommend the ones whose heads are still attached to their bodies. We do not recommend the ones with other people's heads attached to their bodies, especially where the head is attached to something other than the neck. Well, that makes sense. That sounds horrifying. Reminisce about fallen London. It's hard to know what's true and what's not. Your watchful may suffer as you try to work that one out. Hint, you don't want to succeed. Well, even better, we only have an 8% chance of success. Ah, the mossy squares, the Vale Garden with its lights, the stolen river. It's lovely here, of course, all this red and gold. So plush, so pleasant. And the staff are so attentive. But perhaps one day you could walk along the banks of the stolen river again, and complain about how there's no bloody weather down here to complain about. That does sound nice. Let's see what this opportunity card looming here is. A fungal bloom. There are mushrooms growing in your bath. This is simply intolerable. You're going to have to speak to someone. You are now tracking down the manager. Okay, well, I could burn a bunch of actions to get us out of here, but there is interesting stuff to be had when you're in a state of some confusion. And I think the better choice would be I will pause my recording here, and in a couple hours, I'll record the rest of this episode, and we will get a bunch more opportunity cards from here to see what more of what's going on in this lovely hospital. So I will see you in a few hours for me, a few moments for you. And we're back! Isn't technology grand? Let's see what these cards have for us. A white cat. The cat sits at the long bar, disconsolately drinking coffee. You think it's nursing a hangover. It gives you a long and bloodshot look as you slide in next to it. Are you here to stay, or are you just another goddamn weekender? Well, that's certainly not very polite. You don't feel welcome at all. The view from your room. Tonight, the view from the window of your room is of the armies ringing the fourth city, the night before it came underground. Interesting. Watch. What a sight this is. Masks in the firelight. In the light of the campfires, the soldiers' faces are huge and grinning and savage, like painted demons. But you know that can't be real. We just gained Walking the Fallen Cities, or Falling Cities, and gained a Relic of the Fourth City. Excellent. A lizard of distinction. There's a lizard in your room. A bloody lizard! Who put it there? Why are you beset by lizards? Still, it seems a distinguished sort. It has lunched with kings and ministers, possibly on kings and ministers. It sits on your pillow to tell you these things. You can't sleep. On the upside, you don't dream. We have seen these already, so let's clear them out. Ah, here's more interesting things. We have seen this one. A lamentable affair. The woman next door has become quite obsessed with you. She knocks on the door in the middle of the night and insists on showing you her fossil collection. She always gets into the lift on your floor and complains about the holes in her stockings. We can spurn her advancers. Well, she's very charming, but you're not here for that sort of thing, are you? Or invite her back to your room. A fossil collection and scarlet stockings? Who could refuse the offer of her company? I quite agree. A delicate interlude. You both sit up until the small hours, exclaiming over her fossil collection. So tiny, and yet so perfect. You can see St. Fiacre's, I have no idea how to pronounce that. That guy's cathedral in this one. And that one, that's Bad Monkey Row. Eventually you turn into sleep, tired but happy, wondering what fossils tomorrow might bring. The view from your room. Tonight the view from your room is of a waste of water, stretching off to the polar horizon. On the very brink of the horizon, impossibly north, something blinks at you, painfully bright. An iceberg? An eye? Pretend it's not there, just draw the curtains. Brr. You close the curtains and turn up the gas. It seems colder in here tonight. A fungal bloom. There are mushrooms growing in your bath. Oh, I think we've seen this already. Ah, but that increased our tracking down the manager, which is probably good if we want to see that story. A lost secret. You put a secret down. You did it just a moment ago. Someone must have stolen it. Search for your missing secret. If it's here, you'll find it. You're good at secrets. That's how you got here, after all. Let's switch into our watchful wear and give that a shot. Our other option is to wait for it to come back to you, but that's 50-50. Found it! You tuck it away somewhere private. There. The little monster won't be getting away from you again. However, our nightmares has increased. This sort of behavior will not get us out of here any sooner. Well, that's all the interesting cards that we have to offer at this time. So, we're going to have to skip forward again. It'll be a couple hours for me, a few moments for you. And we're back. So what I ended up doing is over the weekend I ended up going ahead and just logging in and going through the opportunity cards periodically in order to fill up that Seeking the Manager bar so that we could unlock this card. I'm not sure it'll end up being worth all this, but hey, here we are. A word with the manager. You've finally cornered the manager. We have the option to complain to the manager or thank the manager. We can compliment him on the smooth running of his establishment, or explain in detail the vexations and harassments you have suffered here. Let's try that and see what we get. He rolls his eyes wearily. He sticks his chest out, examines his fingernails, wipes an imaginary smear from one of his magnificent brass buttons. Well, he says eventually, perhaps you should think about finding somewhere else then. The man is without shame or scruple. You've a good mind to do just that. Well, that did not get us very much. However, we are just about free of this place. Now that we have cleared our nightmares, we are able to move on. You are yourself again. You would no longer be considered insane by most citizens of Fallen London. A dubious comfort. In any case, the experience seems to have helped with your nightmares. So that was a rather large and time-consuming detour we didn't need. I say we avoid those mirrors in the future. Okay, so we are back home. Let's go ahead and work through and see what's coming at us today. A visit to the gracious widow. Someone is planning to intercept her next shipment of brandy. Does she suspect your involvement? Or does she want your help? We can admit our curiosity, better to be honest than to risk the widow finding out herself. The Duchess was interested, wasn't she? Perhaps you should mention that. Or accept an offer from the widow. The widow needs a pair of keen eyes and ears. What is the Duchess' interest in the brandy? Is she planning to steal it? Or investigate the widow herself? The lamps are rarely lit in the widow's home, but she is only occasionally absent. So, I believe this is the first time that Kinley has met the gracious widow, and I'm thinking they don't really know what this is about, so let's admit our curiosity. Honesty pays. Not well, but it pays. The widow shakes her head. Her servants pull you to your feet. She speaks, her voice tight. You have disappointed me, but your honesty has spared us both distress in varying degrees. Go. Your health and conscience are intact. Less so the widow's opinion of you. Well, that didn't go very well. That's okay. Okay, the criminals. This is the faction card for the criminals, which I'm not sure if we've actually seen before. Wherever there's poverty, darkness, despair, there's folk to make a profit on it, and London has these aplenty. Provide an alibi. The constables are arresting a weepy pickpocket down the road. She's probably as guilty as a cat with a cream mustache, but speaking on her behalf would bring her into your debt. Free to roam the streets. The constables glower but relinquish the weepy pickpocket. We'll be keeping an eye on you, they say, to both of you. When they've gone, the weepy pickpocket nudges you. She removes her arm wrapping and takes out a tack which had been pressing into her. Makes the tears flow all easy like, she confides, wiping away the blood. She flicks it between the cobbles. The coppers sometimes send you away out of pity if they don't think you're worth the bother. Not these bastards, though. I owe you one. A Dream of Roses. That'll take us back to the Rose City we saw, near Arbor. We didn't really do anything particularly successful here. We were working on walking south, because we'd seen what there was to the north. Let's see. Near Arbor. Apparently there's a shortcut north. We're not trying to go north. Let's walk south a bit further. You head south where the buildings stand taller. Far arborean cloaks woven with ivy and roses congregate in courtyards and loll in lush gardens, while drab near arbori walk around and over them intent on their own labors. Massive headed roses hang from drooping trellises and brush your face as you pass beneath. Here we have the option to become a serpent tender in exchange for a tar. The gardens are thick with serpents. The commander of glass offers a tar for reducing their numbers. Well, this one doesn't actually have a skill check associated with it, so seems like a good choice. However, that will exchange all of our time in Arbor for a related to that amount of a tar. Service undertaken. The commander is curt in his instructions. He is keeping an eye on a group of exiles fruitlessly petitioning at the palace gate. The palace gardens are a wilderness of thorns. Mangroves drink from the fountain. Bloatfingers erupt from cracked pathways. The gardens teem with growth. In the course of your labors, you unearth a knot of young snakes sleeping within a rosebush. A tar puddles around them, sticking their scales to the petals. It's the very devil to pull them apart. You return to the commander, who is parsimonious with his reward. Alright. Your time in Arbor has come to an end. Perhaps you'll return in dreams. Leave Arbor. Members of the Hussite Guard appear in the nearby alleys. Your time in Arbor, their unsympathetic gazes say, is up. So same as before. Back home. Well, that was a nice dream. Retrieve a courier's correspondence. It was one of the merchants. She hit me with a sock full of something and made off into the alleys. A sock full of what? Probably best not to ask. Last time I believe we just tracked the urchin down, so let's talk the urchin into giving it back. She can't have got far. She's probably still in earshot. I'll probably stop doing these cards after a little while, because after a time they end up just, you've kind of done all of the actual story ones and they're all repeatables like this. There she is, up on the roof. Her grubby face peers down suspiciously. You invent a story about the package being bound for the traitor empress herself, and hint at the consequences of inconveniencing her imperial majesty. The package lands at your feet with a thump. "Thanks for the warning, Gov," she shouts. "I owe you one." The courier's grateful. She rewards you with secrets she learned by reading things she shouldn't have. But yeah, for now, it's kind of fun to see them all at least once and see all the different options in any case, because they're interesting details about the world. Another important one. Surface ties the assailant. A victim of yours from the surface has followed you down to the Neath, intent on revenge. Murder him properly this time. You thought you'd killed him last time. Well, you won't make that mistake twice, even if it takes a lot more effort down here. Or make amends and ask for forgiveness. Perhaps it is time to leave a life of villainy behind you, if we have surface currency to pay with. I say let's murder him properly this time. A more thorough job of it. Your victim holds his blade awkwardly, and you have no difficulty sending it spinning into the river. You pummel his head against the cobbles until he stops moving, and set to ensuring he will never return. It is done. Alright. Became more ruthless, less magnanimous. Seen this one before. Let's... Alright. A raid on the observatory. One of your associates has set up a nice little job for you. A raid on the Watchmaker's Hill Observatory. The staff will be at a ceremony, or a rite, something like that. We can wait until the procession leaves, scale the walls, let's see what they've forgotten to lock away. Or, infiltrate the observatory as the procession is getting ready. People going in and out, doors open, valuables left lying around, too tempting to resist. Just a face in the crowd. You pull on a hastily stitched robe and blend into the courtyard's activity. The celebrants speak in tense whispers. Tonight's business, whatever it might be, is important. There is a sudden crash, and the smell of brine. A mahogany casket has slipped from a young man's hands, sending dozens of eyeballs bouncing across the floor. "Don't step on the apples!" someone screams. "We need all 64! Taking advantage of the alarm, you slip into the observatory and grab what you can. The pickings are good, lenses of glim and amber, casings of brass. Excellent. Have you a handkerchief? That urchin gang is small, but is doing a roaring trade stealing handkerchiefs. Where do they hide them? Outwitting a 10-year-old. It surely can't be difficult to follow an urchin back to their stash house. Sure, why not? This seems a little rude, but okay. Well, they need a good wash, but you deftly follow the little thief through crooked alleys and across a rooftop. The stash is hidden in a filthy backyard occupied by a sorrow spider, but it is no match for your stealth and cunning. Alright, we got some silk. And lastly, we've got mixing with the toffs. That gang of wealthy young rakes is pretty drunk. They probably won't notice if you mingle with them and partake of their hospitality. Fitting in. You need a braying laugh, a raucous anecdote, and a taste for wine. How hard can it be? What ho, old fellow! Although none of the merry young fellows can quite place you, you certainly seem to belong among them and have a pleasant evening of mild debauchery and genteel vandalism, before waking up with a throbbing headache and a decent vintage in your pocket. All right. Increased our persuasive, our hedonist, got some wine, and gained a connoisseur of Neathy delights, which is an interesting stat to track. Will nobody help the poor fellow? A chandler's workshop has gone up in flames. He's trapped in an upper window. An admiring crowd watches his candles glow and melt in the flames. Daring is needed. A quick dash through the flames, damp coat across your face. Singed but safe. You deposit the coughing chandler on the pavement outside, Tears run down his soot-blackened face. He babbles, thanks, and presses his last candle into your hands. It's a little squashy, but it seems ill-mannered to quibble. Excellent. Okay, so that's all of our opportunity cards today. Now to finally get on with the plan of checking out Spite. So we recently had accomplished the second... Oh, I thought we had accomplished the second step here. Maybe we really only did the one, because it still says 1. Huh. Oh well, let's see what's going on here. We've already robbed a drunk. Yep, nothing new there. Actually, can we go after... Yes, we can now go after a more difficult drunk. Rob a drunk. Who is the drunk? It is a cavalry officer. That's the uniform of the 23rd Nethi Rifles, though he's long since sold his brass buttons for the cheapest gin by the smell. A pocket miscellany. A sad little collection of junk. Brass, a bottle of medicine, and a litter of paper scraps. Wait, these are map fragments? He scrawled "forget" on the back of each one. Lucky you're here to help. We got a little bit of brass, a half-full tincture of healing potion, and 4 map scraps. Okay. The brazen urchin proposes a deal. What do you have in mind for us, kiddo? The brazen urchin that haunts your rooftop is back. He peers down, looking like he has something of import to impart. Poor lost mite. I've got some good stuff for you, Gov, but I need you to track down 2 people. They're somewhere in Spite. Me ma and me da. He shows you a ragged, blurry photograph of a young couple dancing. Thank you, officer. Of all the people to ask in Spite, you find the trail of the urchin's parents by speaking to a constable. The gentlemen in blue are also looking for this couple. Once you know this, the search becomes much easier. It's a matter of hours before you track the couple to a room in a filthy flophouse near Flowerdene. It would probably be best to have a closer look before you report back to the brazen urchin, though. A good look at the brazen urchin's parents. They're a handsome couple, but they're hiding out in the squalor of the Spite flophouse, and the law's after them. Take a closer look. They're being careful, but perhaps you're stealthy enough to learn more. A right pair of villains. You see the couple sharing a rat pie at a pub. Their gazes tell you that this couple are passionately devoted to each other. But the hot-headed ruffian and her husband, the hard-nosed robber, have problems. Their last few robberies were blood-soaked disasters, and the constables are after them in earnest. What are you going to tell the urchin? An opportunity for profit. In a public house where ruffians gather, you hear 2 ne'er-do-wells arguing about the division of the spoils from their latest robbery. Eavesdrop. The argument is getting rather heated. They might mention something about their hiding place. Or buy them both a drink. You could just curry favor with the criminal element. You know, let's do that. We're here in Spite. Let's make friends. A toast. Confusion to the constables. Wine calms the ruffian's argument. They defer their disagreement. They don't offer it to share anything with you, but they seem glad of your company. Excellent. Cost a little bit of Rosti gold, but we have plenty. And we gained a favor from the criminals. Okay. What will you tell him? You found that the brazen urchin's parents are criminals, hiding out in a flophouse in Spite. What are you going to tell him? We have the options to tell him where they are. No matter what they've done or what state they may be in, the brazen urchin deserves to know where his parents are. Or, tell him where they are, but caution against seeking them out. You're not going to be dishonest with him, but he should know that they're unlikely to make his life any better. Or, tell him you couldn't find them, it's for the best. Or, turn them in for the reward. They are criminals. He's best off without them, and society must be protected. Alright, well, we're not doing that. And we're not telling him we couldn't find them. Don't try to protect people from the truth. It's just another way to lie. And I'm sure there are scenarios where it's the right choice, but I think they are extremely rare, and this is not one of them. I'm going to tell him where they are, but caution against seeking them out. It should be his choice. Right you are. The brazen urchin sits in your parlor, chewing a currant bun thoughtfully. I ears you, Gov, but I gotta go and find out why they left me alone. You held up your end, so here's the stuff. If it don't go well, I'll be back on your rooftop tomorrow, and we'll say no more about it. He finishes the bun and slopes off to meet his destiny. Alright, I hope that kid is okay. I kinda wish we could follow him and make sure that, he'll be okay at least. But, so it is. Another job from the hacking reporter. The hacking reporter has some more work for you. Something outside the remit of the gossip columns this time. The old astronomer. There's a fellow that used to be an astronomer back on the surface, but the observatory won't give him the time of day. See what he's up to, would you? The lack of night sky. You follow the old fellow around for a few days. He shuffles about the streets of fallen London, glancing hatefully at the cavern roof. One afternoon, he goes to the observatory and harangues the closed gate until a hired ruffian appears to chase him off. At his lodgings, an immaculately polished brass telescope peeks from an upstairs window at the starless, stony sky. The hacking reporter listens intently to your tale. He's pleased with your work, but won't be drawn on what he intends to do with it. You can't imagine why the unexpurgated London Gazette would be interested. Come on, it's obviously spy games. We're not this slow. Investigate the investigator. Perhaps it's time you took a closer look at the hacking reporter. Skulking about to good purpose. A cough like that is easy to follow. You might eavesdrop on his acquaintances and employer as well. Gone. Cough or no, this fellow knows the back streets of Spite like a footpad. He loses you in the fog within minutes. Let's try that again. Come on. You can do it, little webpage. Maybe you can't. Let's try. It is right stuck. Let's... Well, this website seems to be struggling. Hopefully that will... Oh, finally, here we are. Perfect. Was about to go ahead and put the recording on hold, but we will hopefully be good to go from here. What is he up to? Nobody at the unexpurgated London Gazette has heard of your hacking reporter. Neither has anyone at the other newspapers. The next day you follow him around town, but he does nothing more revealing than visit a snuff shop. Towards the evening, as the gas lamps gleam from the wet cobbles of Blythenhale, he sits in a coffee house and writes a letter. He pays an urchin to deliver his message. As the child runs past, you see that the note is addressed to B.V. Bravo Victor. These journalists are up to something. Neither the careworn journalist nor the hacking reporter work for any real newspaper. What's their game? We can find out what they're up to. This isn't likely to be financially rewarding, but you must know. Or blackmail them. Money is more important than secrets. I disagree. Secrets are far more important than money. So we're going to find out what they are up to. Or if you're spending money on the game, you can spend a tiny amount of fate to get the reward of blackmailing them and get the information. Honestly, if you're ever playing this, don't do that. The reward itself is rarely worth it, in my view. The information, it's always where it's at. How to do this? They both know the streets, but your spycraft is good enough to ferret out their secrets. The secrets of journalists. To hell with the money. You need to know what these two are up to. The shadows of the ring. You found out that the careworn journalist and the hacking reporter meet once a month at a bare-knuckle fight. Just how stealthy are you? Warning, you only get one chance at this. Oh, well, one chance at it only, but we've got a 92% chance to succeed. I say let's take the risk. And we succeeded. Someone at the ministry. You work your way around the ringside crowd, ending up behind the whispering journalists. Eavesdropping is difficult at a boxing match. The crowds roar at every uppercut, and every gout of blood in the sawdust. The noise is enough to drown out a dozen intriguing whispers. But your ears are sharp, and you piece some things together. Both the careworn journalist and the hacking reporter work for the Ministry of Public Decency, the body that oversees materials of a corrupting and dangerous nature. Someone inside the ministry is collecting stories of romance and obsession. They joke that their employer is munificate and protrusive. You feel as if you learned something important, but you couldn't say exactly what. A Toast in the Shadows. Midnight at the drowning moon. A toothy footpad recognizes you and raises his glass. To the cheery man. London's rogues make their toasts to one of several underworld luminaries. How do you answer? The cheery man. Grim, vicious, remorseless, but a man of his word. Or the gracious widow. As cold as the river, as old as the forgotten quarter. Her heart is pickled in secrets. Or the Topsy King. His court is high and threadbare, but his tastes are cultivated. He does not care for coin. Or your own name, because soon others will do the same. Well, I say let's toast to the gracious widow. I like secrets. A long shadow. The footpad pales. And my very best wishes to the kind lady, he mutters. He finishes his drink in one long draught and hurries out. The widow has that effect on people. They say she drowned her own husband, that she let her daughter die to secure her own immortality. They say she was here, waiting, when London fell. They say she will still be here, perched at the heart of her web of smugglers, when the roof parts for the next city. All right, well. Our name whispered in darkness. Quality is now 2. Perform a successful area dive to unlock new stories. So that, I guess, was how we advanced our reputation here, and I didn't even realize it. So that's that. Double checking for anything new here. No. Anything new here? Not yet. We'll have something new here. Oh no, that one's locked out. So yeah, nothing new here. Okay. Park and Palace Society. This is the Society relationship card. We'll just go ahead and pick up another Society favor. Nothing new there. So, making your name. Area diving. The area is the lower stairs where the kitchen staff go in and out. The area dive is the art of sneaking in and finding whatever valuables have been left about. That sounds profitable. Time it right, and they might not have locked away the silverware, or you might intercept a delivery of something tasty. You'll need to case the place first. You make yourself a fixture on the street corner. And we have moved to the casing area, which is kind of just a separate spot on the map. It's a little odd to sort it out here. It's mostly to keep the cards off of the main spite card. Area diving, casing the target. The area is rarely locked up, but staff are always in and out, and timing is everything. You'll need to build up a casing quality to at least 4 to complete this. When you have finished area diving, you may leave and return later via the map. Alright, so let's go for a straightforward approach. Get close and watch. That's worth knowing. You watch the servants' movements. Alright, let's try the chat to the kitchen staff. Chatty lot these. You're learning things of use. Excellent. Let's spend some whispered hints that we've gained to gather intelligence directly. The staff like to gossip in the market. Useful secrets. At 9 sharp, the master of the house enjoys a gin in his study. At 1/4 the maid of all work enjoys one in the scullery. The butler enjoys it all the time. Of course he does. Go ahead and get this pushed up to 4 real quick. Hopefully. There we go. And let's go for it. Making your name the first dive. Tonight is the night. All is prepared. The servants will be busy with the salon. In and out fast, that's the key. Give it a shot. Secret chutney. For the 3.5 minutes that you need, the area is empty. You help yourself to a rather fetching set of matched rusty gold cutlery. On your way out, you see a box nestled behind the preserves in the pantry. Actually, more a chest than a box. It looks very solid, and locked more securely than a chutney, even a really good chutney, would warrant. Your pockets are bulging with spoons, so you resolve to return for this intriguing morsel on another night. Okay, so we have to do another round of casing. Let's go ahead and speed this up by spending the secrets we have gathered. Excellent. Oh, I thought that got us there, but it did not quite. Okay, perfect. Casing has increased to 4. Making your name, the box in the pantry. Back to that well-appointed house tonight. The box in the pantry will be yours. Let's hope it contains more than fungal marmalade. Flex your fingers. Same as last time, wait for the salon to get going, then in and out fast. A scandalous collection. You are in and out like the shadow of a cat. The box is heavy, but manageable. You heave it into the street and away to your lodgings. The locks take considerable ingenuity to defeat. Delicate manipulation and the occasional hammer blow sorts them out. Now, what's in there? Not the sort of thing one should find in a respectable pantry, certainly. There are a number of racy daguerreotypes, a pair of entirely indecent zoetropes, some curious wooden objects. Well, it's an interesting find. It does raise the question of what to do with it all. Okay. Making your name, what to do with the box, you have a substantial collection of scandalous material stolen from an otherwise respectable pantry. What are you going to do with it all? Could keep it. One could probably find a buyer for this stuff, or perhaps one might have one's own uses for it. Hand it over to the authorities for burning. The Ministry of Public Decency will be pleased to take this cash off your hands and set fire to it. There may even be a reward. Oh, hell no. A spot of blackmail. You'll have to study your target again, but this could be very profitable. If you lack the conscience and want a greater reward, go ahead and blackmail. It takes another round of casing. Or into the river with it. Filth! Get rid of it now! You can't wait for the ministry to get here. If you're having trouble with scandal, this will certainly help. We are not. I say, let's keep it. Box of Delights. It's all yours now. Just keep it hidden from the Ministry of Public Decency, and practically everyone else. And we gained a bunch of proscribed material and a chunk of scandal and some hedonist. A confrontation at the Reeking Alley. So this is going to be the conclusion of this, but it will be how we start the next episode, with this confrontation with a broken-toothed cracksman. Before we cut out for the night, though, we'll go ahead and read a couple of lore bits. Let's see, read that one. What is Newgate Prison? We've been there. The prison is carved into the body of an immense stalactite, clinging to the roof of the bazaar's cavern. Escape-proof? We'll see about that. Snow in the Neath? How does one manage a thing that is so patently not snow, and yet so resembles it? Does one leave it hygienically inside quotes? Snow? Does one shrug and regard it as a blessing from the bazaar? Does one lock one's doors and windows and hide quaking below stairs while the servants build the fire high and stuff the window cracks with rags? That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Alright, well that'll be all for today. Once again, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time.